One day I went along, quite accidentally, I assure you, with an infantry company that had been assigned to clean out a pocket in the suburbs of Cherbourg. Since the episode was typically of the way an infantry advanced into the city held by an enemy, I would like to try and give you a picture of it. So he's going to try and explain what that was like. The soldiers around us had 2 weeks growth of beard. And before he talks about the assault, he kind of gives you a little update on the frontline infantry troops. The soldiers around us had 2 weeks growth of beard. Their uniforms were worn slick and very dirty. The uncomfortable gas-impregnated clothes they'd come ashore in. The boys were tired. They had been fighting and moving constantly forward on foot for nearly 3 weeks without rest, sleeping on the ground, wet most of the time, always tense, eating cold rations, seeing their friends die. One of them came up to me and said, almost belligerently, "Why don't you tell the folks back home what this is like? All they hear about is victories and a lot of the glory stuff. They don't know that for every 100 yards we advance, somebody gets killed. Why don't you tell them how tough this life is?" I told him that I tried to do that all the time. This fellow was pretty fed up with it all. He said he didn't see why his outfit wasn't sent home. They had done all the fighting. That wasn't true at all, for there were other divisions that had fought more and taken heavier casualties. Exhaustion will make a man feel like that. A few days' rest usually has him smiling again. We've heard this time and time again. Sometimes you start get that mental fatigue. You got to take a little breather. So yeah, like the 9th, sometimes you got to keep the pressure on. But if you start to break people, maybe it's time, especially an individual. And Dick Winters did this. Band of Brothers, Dick Winters, beyond the Band of Brothers, he talked about, hey, I got this guy that's a little losing the bubble. I'm going to pull him back. Hey, you got some admin stuff to do in the rear. Why don't you go ahead and take care of that? Boom, done. Let this guy heal up. That's what this guy needs. He needs a break. He needs a rest. And here we get the little briefing from the lieutenant, who's going to tell them how they're going to push through this and clear out this little pocket of enemy resistance. "This is how we'll do it," the lieutenant said. "A rifle platoon goes first. Right behind them will go a part of the heavy weapons platoon with machine guns to cover the first platoon. Then comes another rifle platoon. Then a small section with mortars in case they run into something pretty heavy. Then another rifle platoon. And bringing up the rear, the rest of the heavy weapons outfit to protect us from behind. We don't know what we'll run into, and I don't want to stick right out in front, so why don't you come along with me?" So he's talking to Ernie Pyle at that point, saying, "Listen, I don't know what's going to be up front. You stick with me. We'll go in the middle of the company." I said, "Okay." By this time, I wasn't scared. You seldom are once you're into something. Anticipation is the worst. Fortunately, this little foray came up so suddenly there wasn't time for much anticipation. The waiting. So they start taking a little fire, and finally the shells stop. And here we go. The shells stopped, and finally the order to start was given. As we left the protection of a high wall, we had to cross a little culvert right out in the open and then make a turn in the road. The men went forward one at a time. They crouched and ran ape-like across this dangerous space. Then beyond the culvert, they filtered to either side of the road, stopping and squatting down every now and then to wait a few moments. The lieutenant kept yelling at them as they started. "Spread it out now. Do you want to draw fire at yourselves? Don't bunch up like that. Keep 5 yards apart. Spread it out, damn it!" There's an almost irresistible pull to get close to somebody when you're in danger. In spite of themselves, the men would run up close to the fellow ahead of them for company. But obviously, if you're close to people, and first of all, one bullet can kill 2 people. But if you get hit with a bomb, you get hit with a grenade, you're going to kill multiple people. So you want to disperse. You want to keep your dispersion. You want to spread out. But there's this little thing that people want to just get close to other people. And everybody knows it's wrong. And actually, if you remember in the Beloved Captain, that's what he was constantly saying. Guys, spread out in the trench. Don't bunch up. And the author was saying, we all just wanted to huddle together. You want to get closer together, you're in fear. So you want to huddle, and it's the wrong move.